What's up, everybody? It's your boy Coke Gotti coming at y'all with another video. In this video, we're going to talk about a college football playoff expansion. Before we start, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's ride. All right, they're talking about a college football playoff expansion. I mean, they're having serious talks. I mean, since the playoffs started, people have been talking about it. But I mean, now the people who make the shit happen are starting to have, serious talks about it. 6 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams, I feel like it's going to be expanded. I feel like 12 is too much. I feel like 6 might be what they land on. But I think 8 is where they should choose. Now, the reason I feel like it needs to be expanded is because at the current moment with 4 teams, there's no requirements at all. The requirement is convince the committee you're a top 4 team. That's it. It don't matter how many losses. I mean, well, it does matter how many losses you have, but I mean, you can catch L's. 1, I'll even say you can catch 2 if the season plays out the right way for you. And you don't have to win your division. You don't have to win your conference. Bama made the playoffs. They didn't win the division. They didn't even play for the conference, so of course they didn't win the conference. Ohio State made the playoffs. They didn't win their division. They didn't play for the conference championship, so of course they didn't win it. Difference between those scenarios is when Bama made it in without a conference championship, the SEC champion also made it in. And Bama ended up winning the national championship. Ohio State, Penn State didn't make it in. Ohio State did. And Ohio State didn't win. They didn't even win the playoff game. They got slaughtered. Penn State should have definitely been in there. Maybe it would have been the same outcome, but they earned it. They deserved it. And I feel like they got shitted on because the year that Bama made it without winning the conference championship, if Auburn would have beat Georgia in the conference championship, they would have made it in with 2 losses. And I mean, I'm an SEC fan, of course. I'm a Georgia fan. And I feel like the SEC is superior to the other conferences. But that doesn't mean that because Auburn had 2 losses and would have won the conference championship, they get in. That doesn't mean that Penn State shouldn't if they get 2 losses and then they still win their conference championship. If Penn State doesn't get in with the conference champion, then no one from the Big Ten should have got in. And when I make the argument about that, for Bama's case, a lot of people would give me the whole list of injuries that they had, which is cool, Yeah, if all those players were healthy, shit probably would have been different. Could have been different. But the thing is, every school has to face those circumstances. Every school has to try and keep everybody healthy. And if players go down, they have to overcome that. They have to put the right guys in. They have to change up their game plans, change up play calling, all that shit just to make it fit around whatever injuries they're facing. So who cares about the injuries for Bama? They shouldn't get no fucking crutch or no shit like that. Just like Ohio State shouldn't get a crutch. They got a crutch because of their name, because of their brand. It's not because of they earned it. They didn't earn it. All right, because I mean, hell, that's that same year for Bama, you could use the same scenario for Auburn. If Kerryon Johnson wasn't banged up, does Georgia beat Auburn? I mean, I'm a Georgia fan, but like that's a legit question because when Kerryon Johnson was healthy and Auburn was healthy, I mean, we saw the game. They beat the shit out of us. It wasn't even a game. We got our asses whooped. SEC championship, we whooped their ass. But if Kerryon Johnson was 100% and playing, would it have been the same game, But I just feel like, you have to, if you can't win your division and you can't win your conference championship, you shouldn't be allowed to win the national championship. But moving on to 18 playoffs. If you make it an 18 playoff, that changes it. Because now you're allowed to do 1 through 5, all Power 5 champions. And then you can have the committee choose 6, 7, 8. Which means a team like Ohio State would have been able to get in as a wild card. A team like Bama would have been able to get in as a wild card, and they would have earned it. It wouldn't have just been given to them. And then a Power 5 team, if they go undefeated, they should definitely get a wild card. If an independent team gets in, they should definitely get a wild card. Like BCS era, Boise State should have had 1 at least one, maybe 2 national championships if they would have been given the chance. UCF, even though I don't think that they would have beat Alabama, but that same year, they went undefeated, beat Auburn in the bowl game. But if they would have made the playoffs, maybe things could have been different. I don't think they would have, but I mean, you don't know. We don't know because we didn't get to see it. But if you switch it to 8 and you set it up like that with that format, you'll get those opportunities. And, you know, there's people that will argue that, you know, if you expand it, all you're going to do is see more blowouts and all that shit. That might be true. But, I mean, we see blowouts every year in the playoffs as it is. We've seen Bama beat the shit out of Clemson in a playoff game. We've seen Clemson beat the shit out of Ohio State in a playoff game. We've seen Oklahoma every year go in the playoffs and get their ass beat. The only time they didn't get their ass beat is when they played Georgia. You know, and that came down to overtime. Notre Dame, every year, they get their ass beat. This past year in the playoffs, Bama beat the shit out of Notre Dame in the playoff game. Ohio State beat the shit out of Clemson in the playoff game. And then you go to the national championship, and Bama beat the shit out of fucking Ohio State. None of the games this past year in the playoffs and national championship was a competitive game. They were all blowouts. So, I mean, what's really the difference? What, there's going to be more blowouts? Who cares? That's more football to watch. Some people say it's politics. The committee's going to choose who brings the revenue in, which, you know, that could be true. Who knows? But, I mean, in all actuality, if Clemson wasn't out there winning, they wouldn't be bringing in the money they bring in now. Just like Bama. If Bama was, before Nick Saban came to Bama, how much money was Bama bringing in? I mean, I'm not going to say they weren't bringing in money because Bama's a program that's, you know, they got a long history. But I guarantee you it wasn't the money that they're bringing in now. I mean, there's schools like Texas that bring in big boy money. They just don't earn their spots in the playoffs. But I feel like if you can't win your division, you can't win your conference, then you shouldn't be allowed to win a national championship if we're going to keep it at 4 teams. Make it a 5-team playoff. Committee chooses 3. So, for example, you'll have Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and we'll say Oregon. And then maybe a Notre Dame gets a wild card. Maybe a Memphis gets a wild card. And then the last wild card, maybe it'll be fucking Georgia. Maybe it'll be, like this past season, it would be an A&M. You know? But regardless, if you do it like that, you're going to bring fan bases in from all over the country, money in from all over the country. And you don't have to extend the football season to do that. You can literally just start the playoffs a week early or start the playoffs 2 weeks early. It don't have to necessarily be an expanded season. And then with the way the playoff system is now, like regular seasons don't mean as much as they used to. Conference championships don't mean as much as they used to. Bowl games that aren't playoff games don't mean nothing no more. BCS era, you had the BCS National Championship 1 through 2. And then you had the BCS Bowl games. And those games meant something. Fiesta Bowl, fucking Rose Bowl, fucking Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl. Like, those things meant something. If you didn't make the BCS, it meant something for you to make it to that and teams played. Now, if you don't make the playoffs, you got players opting out, sitting out, not playing because they don't care. Their season's done. They're not winning a ring. The bowl game, who gives a fuck? You know, and expanding the playoffs, it might not change that. But expanding it will make the playoffs more meaningful for everyone as a whole. I just feel like it should be 8 with the format that I said. Top 5 being conference championships and then 3 wild cards. Y'all make sure you comment on this. I want to know y'all's opinion. Should it be expanded or should it not? If it shouldn't be, I want to know why you say it shouldn't be. And if it should be, how many teams do you think it should be expanded to? But y'all make sure you hit the like and subscribe button because I got my prediction videos in the works and they're going to be dropping back to back here in a couple weeks. It's your boy Coke Gotti and I'm out.